Hello, welcome to my channel. It's a Saturday. It's the kind of Saturday that I absolutely love, which means I'm not going anywhere. I didn't even have any errands to run. I have absolutely nothing to do. And since they're coming to pressure wash my house today because I'm having it painted, the exterior painted next week, I kind of had to stick around. And so today it's just going to be a reading day, which is amazing. Something that's really unlike me lately is I've been reading one book at a time instead of having 4 books on the go all at once. Probably 2 months ago, I decided to slow down, focus on one book at a time, and see if that would actually help with this speed that I'm finishing things. And it has worked out that way. I know that seems very, very logical, but I just have problems generally staying focused on one book at a time. So I tend to read 2, 3, 4, but I really wanted to see how I would do if I basically forced myself to focus on one book at a time, and it's actually working, and it hasn't created a slump, which I was worried it was going to. So that's really good as well. I finished a book the day before yesterday that I needed to get done for a review. I was actually late with it, and then I finished an audiobook yesterday, and I was wondering what to pick up next, and I do this periodically now that I'm focusing on one book at a time. If I feel like it's good to be focusing on one book at a time, but it's slowing me down, I'll take a look at things that I picked up and never finished earlier this year. I soft DNF a lot of books. I guess I've never really thought of myself as a mood reader, but I guess in some ways I am, because I will put down a book that is not working for me at any moment in time. So when I'm feeling like I'm not finishing anything, or it's taking me a long time to finish things, and so I'm not getting that many books done, I will go back and I will look at what I've soft DNF, and for whatever reason, those books that were taking me a really long time to get through, or I couldn't get into them, I suddenly just fly through them. So bearing that in mind, I decided to pick up A Very Bad Thing by J.T. Ellison. This is a book that I was reading back in January. I'd actually put it onto my TBR at the end of 2024 because I think it was on the list of Goodreads mysteries nominations for the Goodreads Awards. And so I put it on my TBR, and then I didn't pick it up until January. And when I was reading it in January, I just could not get into it. So far today, I've read about 60 pages of it. It's going much quicker. I'm more interested in it. So it's definitely worked taking that strategy again. Another book around the same time that I soft DNF'd was the Michael Connelly, the first in the Harry Bosch series, Black Echo. And so I'm going to get a little bit further into this, I think, and then I'm going to maybe switch over to Black Echo because I realized that I had less of that left to read, and that would be a quick finish, I think. So this I'm still not even halfway through. And even though it is going faster, I sort of feel like I just want to try to hit something and knock off another book to finish. So I'm going to try that. I also read a few chapters of a fantasy that is supposedly crosses genres and has a mystery in it, which is called Voyage of the Damned, maybe? And not sure if it's a mystery yet, so I'll tell you about it if it turns into a mystery. But I've only read 2 chapters in that so far. Not sure if I'm liking it, but we'll see. I'll read a little bit further and see if it actually becomes a mystery, and then I'll check back in with you. Ariana is going to get out of the house. She just finished a workout. She wants to get out of the house for a while, so she's going to go, but I'm going to stay here and just keep reading. So I'll do some periodic updates. What a pretty girl. And Seamus. He's so pretty. Pops, what are you looking at? Poppy, what are you looking at? So I realized it would probably be a good idea if I told you what this was about, basically, before I started reading again. So we have a very famous, popular author of mysteries, kind of got a like Danielle Steele kind of vibe off of her. And she's British, she's very striking, she's loved by all these people, and she's on her book tour, and there's even a VIP experience that you can buy tickets for and meet her before her little author talk in the auditoriums where she's doing her author talks. And her daughter is her sort of all-around manager, social media manager, promoter, all of that. And you definitely get the vibes that the daughter is suffering from not being as good as her mom. That kind of a feeling where she always feels like she's not good enough, and her mom is famous, and as great as it is to have this wildly successful, famous mom, she's always comparing herself to this woman, and she's somewhat unhappy. And she has aspirations for herself, but she doesn't think her mom will support them. And then enter into this equation a writer who the author has just hired to come along on tour and to write a very big PR piece on her for a very popular magazine. And the daughter feels a bit intimidated by this writer as well, who's a young woman around the daughter's age, but is very successful herself, although she's got the kind of success that is, her name is known, but she's not really making a ton of money. And the daughter is still intimidated because the mother is sharing her secrets with this writer, this young woman, and the daughter almost feels adversarial about it. So, not to get into spoiler territory, but they're in Denver, they are staying in a hotel during the tour. The author and the writer are supposed to be meeting first thing the next morning to finish up what she needs for the article, and then the writer is going to fly back to New York and file her story. But before that can happen, someone kills the author in her hotel room. So I'm at the stage where the writer has gone back to New York to file her story, which is a much different story than she thought she would be filing, and strange things are starting to happen. And so I don't want to go into a lot of that because definitely is spoiler territory. I am 160 pages in, and I think I'm just hitting the groove of this book where it's becoming interesting. I think I know one of the big ahas that we're going to get, but we'll see if I'm right. And we are waiting for the author's will to be read. So I'm going to get back into it, probably read like another 40 pages, and then maybe flip over to Black Echo at that point. Okay, it is now Sunday evening, and I thought I would pop back in and give you an update. The weekend has gone exactly as I wanted it to. Very, very low key, just staying home and getting a lot of reading done. I have not actually finished anything yet, but I have made progress in all three of the books that I planned to this weekend, and I think I might finish one tonight since it's still relatively early. It's about 7:30. Ooh, it's actually 8, but still, I think I might be able to get one finished. So first off, an update on a very bad thing. I haven't read a lot since my last update on this one. I am enjoying it more now that our focus has really shifted over to the reporter character or the writer character, and she is potentially also a target of the killer. And I don't think I'm giving anything away by that. It is becoming more interesting. And since it's a thriller-ish mystery, I mean, I definitely think we're going to have the whodunit, who the killer is, but I think this is meant to lean more thriller-ish, and it's actually starting to feel like an actual thriller, even though we don't, know all of the who's and whys yet. But it's going better than expected. I'm currently about 200 pages in. It is long for a thriller. It is like 450 pages, so not even halfway there yet. Definitely not going to finish this one tonight, but I definitely made progress, and it feels more worthwhile reading it than it did before. But I still, because I had so many problems with the first 100, even 150 pages, kind of feel like this one is already in 3.5-star territory. And unless something amazing happens, I don't think it's going to redeem itself beyond that. Next, I mentioned before Voyage of the Damned, and I have, since there's foiling on the cover, I do have a protective cover on it as I'm reading, because I don't want the foiling to flake off if I decide to sell this later, or even if I keep it. I didn't say anything about this one before because I didn't really know if it was going to live up to being a whodunit versus just being a true fantasy book. I've started trying to not read the synopsis inside of the book jacket once I've bought a book and I've read the synopsis in the jacket to help make my decision about whether I wanted to buy it or not. I've really tried to stay away from rereading it before I start reading the book so that I have an open mind about what's going to happen. But the more that I'm reading it, I think that this is supposed to be almost an homage to Christie's And Then There Were None. And so we have 12 characters who are in this closed circle environment of being on a ship together. And so far, 2 characters have been killed. And our main character, who is trying to figure out who done it, has a sidekick who is a 6-year-old girl, so that's unique. And another sidekick who, maybe I shouldn't give it away, but he has another sidekick as well, an adult. Now, he's definitely not a sleuth. He's definitely an amateur, and he's trying to figure this out. So he wants to figure this out because he feels a responsibility to the people who have been killed, and he also wants to stop and so make sure it doesn't happen again, because it could happen to him. So he's feeling threatened, and he's not necessarily liked by this group of people. To give a little bit of more detail about that, these are all the individual chosen ones from their individual tribes in this magical land that we are living in. And each one of the tribes is represented by an animal. He is the lowliest tribe, like he's the bottom of the food chain, and his clan or tribe is represented by fish. And so there are a lot of jokes about him smelling bad and him being lowly, etc., etc. Now, I do not think that this is young adult, but it's coming across as young adult. And here's the weird thing about me and that. I love young adult fantasy. I probably like young adult fantasy more than I like adult fantasy. But when I'm reading adult fantasy and it feels like it's young adult fantasy, it feels like, why are you making the choices that you make? And then I think that there were some things that were deliberately thrown in to say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't young adult fantasy. This is, there isn't any spiciness in it, but there's a hint that there could be spiciness in it. So yeah, it feels confused. I do have to say, at 190 pages into a 450 page book, so again, not even halfway there, I don't have a clue who done it. So either that's really good writing that's not giving anything away, or not getting enough from the story to try to figure it out. But obviously I'm going to keep going with this one as well. And it's good to get it off my TBR since it's been there since January. And it is a really pretty book. And finally, the one that I picked up and think that I will finish tonight is Michael Connelly's The Black Echo, which is the first Harry Bosch book. Now, I generally love police procedurals. I think it's probably, up there as one of my favorites of the mystery genre. But I do generally have issues with the tortured, solo, going it alone, nobody understands me kind of protagonist who has either a troubled past or troubled future, etc. And that is definitely Harry Bosch. So I really went into this thinking, I am probably not going to like this. And I'm actually doing okay with it. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think that there's nothing that's going to be uber surprising about this or compelling about it. But Michael Connelly is a great writer, and I am enjoying it if just for that. So I'm going to dig into this more tonight and try to get it finished. For the rest of the week, it should be a pretty interesting week. Tomorrow is going to be a really busy day, and this week should be a pretty interesting week through Wednesday because I have a big proposal due at work that's going to be taking up a lot of my time. As I mentioned earlier, the house is getting painted this week, Monday through Wednesday, so exactly as I'm working on my proposal, they'll be here painting the house, which will probably drive the dogs crazy, which will be interesting. I do have to take 2 of the dogs to the vet tomorrow as well, and then I have a dentist appointment on Thursday morning, and I suffer from some pretty intense TMJ, which has really been bad lately, so I've been kind of dreading going in for this doctor's appointment, this dentist appointment, but I have to get it done. I just checked, my dentist appointment isn't this week, it's next week, so hopefully wearing my night guards and changing my pillow, I have 1 more week to hope that my jaw feels a little bit better. Oh well, so, okay, so just Monday through Wednesday are probably going to be crazy, but maybe when I come back, it will be later in the week after all the craziness is over to give my next reading update. So I have about 15 minutes, but my camera is flashing at me. So I'm going to try to sneak in an update on this that I've been reading on and off for, I think, all year for the last 4 months. It is a short story collection, Golden Age Locked Room Mysteries. I've brought it up several times in reading vlogs. And I think one of the difficulties with me finishing it is that I don't really love short stories. And so I finish one and then they're just okay. And there's really no drive to pick it up and finish another one. I wondered if reading short stories from the Golden Age would make things different. If not my favorite era to read from, it's one of my favorite eras to read from. But it really hasn't made that much of a difference. There's not enough development in a short story for me. But that being said, I'm just a few pages into a longer short story written by Ellery Queen. And it's called The House of Haunts. And I wonder if I'm enjoying it because there's a little bit of gothic. Not a little bit, it's quite gothic. And I like the creepy atmosphere. So maybe I'm liking this one more than the others because of the atmosphere, but I was really surprised. I looked back on it and I've never read anything by Ellery Queen before. So this may spur me on to read more Ellery Queen, and so I may be reading more short stories. Okay, it is many days later, and I am closing out the vlog. I still am so bad at, there were multiple bookstore trips over the last few days. There was a library drop-off. None of that got filmed. So we're just going to wrap it up here. I did indeed make progress in A Very Bad Thing and Voyage of the Damned. Still not quite done with either of them. A Very Bad Thing, I'm like halfway through. This is slow slogging. I am a completionist, so I will have to finish this book. It probably for a lot of other people was in DNF territory. It is not for me. I will finish it eventually. But it's kind of going back into that. I'm going to set it down for a while and move on to other things. Voyage of the Damned, I'm pretty close. I probably have about an hour left to read this, and it's been okay, but it wasn't as much, it wasn't very, I didn't find it to be a really carefully plotted mystery, so I had issues with not sharing of information. Just, I think our protagonist makes a lot of leaps and assumptions, and there aren't really clues. So although, yes, he is attempting to figure out who is picking off the other characters, I don't think we have enough information to try to solve this on our own with the information that he's finding out. It doesn't, and this could be an aspect of it being fantasy, like he understands things that we don't because we haven't been given enough world building, and so we just kind of have to wait for him to interpret things for us and accept how he is interpreting them because we don't have the same information or the same knowledge base that he has. So that's taking away from it for me. And I don't really feel driven to finish. I have, like I said, about an hour left, and I could put it down for a while and not really care and come back to it, which isn't the best sign of a read. So I'm not giving these scores yet because I haven't finished them, but they're definitely not in 5-star territory. And I did finish Black Echo. I was really skeptical and thought, I'm not going to like this. I think it's a little bit dated. I'm not a huge fan of police procedurals that have this lone wolf, nobody understands me, it's me against the world on my own type character. It does have that old school meet a woman and instantly fall into bed with her scenario as well. And Connolly is definitely writing some classic noir tropes into this novel. I have heard him say that's where he was writing from when he started writing, as an homage to the classics and the noir writers of the 40s, 50s, 60s. So that holds true. But I did end up giving it a 4.2. I will read the next in the series eventually. It's not something I'm running right out to pick up immediately. And I'm glad I finally read it. And don't know that I'll watch the show, but it was good to finally have it read and to be able to compare it to other people who have read it and loved this series. So happy that I did it. So that's it for this vlog, and hopefully I will get better about vlogging out in the world to fill up my week and what's going on there. But thanks for coming along with me, and tell your dogs and your pets I said hi, and I'll see you next time.